Hey,
Hey, Adam.
hey, Josh.
Hey, how's it going, man?
All right, how you doing?
Yeah, not bad for an old guy.
Oh, are you talking for me or for yourself?
I think we're both in the same boat, my friend.
I don't know. You look pretty young and fit. I've gotten old and fat.
Yeah, well, things aren't always what they seem.
Oh, lights and mirrors, smoke and mirrors. I'll show you one thing here. If you can see on the side here, see those boxes?
Mm-hmm.
It's not the guitar, but
But the guitar, I've been enjoying your playing, by the way, a great
thank you.
deal.
Thank you for that. But I'm getting better. Like I'm seeing improvement. Those are boxes. I'm moving.
You're
And
moving.
I only bring it up because I'm going to be upstate. I'm going to be in the much more of a bucolic spot. So
Oh, really? Where are you going upstate?
yeah, just a couple of hours north, uh, to a bunker in an undisclosed location.
Trendy these days.
What's that?
It's trendy these days.
Yeah,
Go into a bunker.
yeah, right, exactly. I like to, I'm hip, as they say. So exactly those. Anybody who describes themselves as hip, of course, is the furthest thing from hip. But no, I'm moving up to an area called, well, the town is called Tivoli, New York,
Okay.
and Bard College.
Yes.
You would hang out with some scamps.
Yeah, well, I never spent time there, but I do know of it.
Yeah.
I love upstate New York. My sister was born in Rochester.
Oh, I did not know that. But that's
Yeah, and a lot of my family's from upstate New York.
okay, but that's real upstate New York.
Yeah, that's real upstate. But my family,
Yeah.
I had a lot of relatives in the city as well. But it's just
Yeah.
I have family in Syracuse and Ithaca and whatever.
Now you're just showing off.
Yeah.
Our snow belt. It's called the snow belt, and it's that 90 from like Albany all the way to Buffalo.
Yeah.
And you go through those towns we just mentioned. Well, Ithaca is off the beaten path. That's a little south, but Rochester, I think, is just due north. That's on the belt.
It's very strange because my family all uprooted from western upstate New York, where it's the snow belt, and then they went to Michigan, in the western coast of Michigan off the lake. So I don't know what the point was exactly, but
I don't know. It's just all the way on the other side of the Great Lakes.
Yeah.
Although I guess that part of New York, you're closer to the Finger Lakes, but it's pretty. I mean, Michigan's great. I've been there. Been there a bunch of times, and I've always loved my visits. I was there last summer for the Traverse City Film Festival.
Yeah, Traverse City is beautiful. I spent my almost my entire life in Michigan, and I never went to Traverse City until 2 years ago, right before I moved to Los Angeles. When we had a film in the Traverse City Film Festival. Actually, I was in 2 films that were playing in there, and that was my first time there. I was like, this place is gorgeous. Why did I never go there?
Well, it's where Michiganders go on vacation too. It's like it's a unique little, it's a unique spot. We did a drive. A friend of mine who lives in Bay City, do you know Alan Lefebvre?
Yeah, not personally, but yeah.
Yeah, he's, I think, a connected guy. I don't know, but he's runs the film festival in Bay City, Michigan, the Hell's Half Mile Music and Film Festival.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yeah, so it's a great little festival too. Sounded a little patronizing. It's a nice little festival. Whoa. But it is. But it is. It is.
It is. Yeah.
Well, Traverse City, it's sizable. I mean, it's jam-packed with films, but it is a fun place. I missed you because you were there the year before, but I went last summer. And,
okay.
And then Alan and I took a drive down up the peninsula and everything. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and I was the last thing I worked on before the quarantine and everything happened was a show for Hulu, and Barry Watson was the star of the show, and he was great. And it turns out, we're talking to him on set, he's from Traverse City, and he owns a cottage there outside the city, and that's where him and his wife are, I guess. They've they've been there for the past 3 months. He got out of LA and went back to, which I envied a great deal once I heard that. Barry's a great dude. He's a great guy.
What neighborhood are you in LA?
I am in East Hollywood, Thai Town, Los Feliz. So it's kind of like where all those places come to meet. Franklin and Normandy.
Okay.
There's lots of things on Franklin Normandy, so I don't think that's specific enough if you want to come.
No, I mean, I don't know. My kid is there now. My son, he's.
Yeah. How's he doing?
I wouldn't know. I don't talk to him.
Yeah, I don't.
No, he doesn't. Our conversations are. He's 16, so the conversations are never that long. And I'm always just looking up his nose because whenever I call him and do a FaceTime, he's on a game. He's just gaming all the time.
Oh, really? He's a gamer?
So, and he holds his phone like this, and he's gaming, and all I can do is see up his nose.
This move.
Yeah.
Hey, man.
Yeah. with the arms going,
Yeah.
It must put maybe it puts his phone down. I don't know, but it's annoying. That's all I do know. Anyway,
well, I'm assuming he's all right, man, and I hope that he's all right. And it's.
What have you heard?
All things considered, as far as whatever you hear in the news or whatever, my interpretation of what's going on in Los Angeles is that it has been pretty peaceful and people have been pretty caring and loving this entire time since early March, and I've been actually unfortunately surprised and impressed about the humanity of Angelenos.
Well, that's good. I mean, I think that people were, for the most part, until about May or June, people were kind of terrified. So, there was such a lack of information that people were just really behaving themselves by and large. And now, with more and more information, and then numbers drop, you're finding people are getting a little looser, and I don't know. I'm worried about it, but that's why.
Well, everything has a shelf life, right?
Yeah.
There was only so much time that they were going to be able to have everybody stay isolated. That's not really human nature.
No, it's not.
At all.
Human nature is to get a little bit lazy after a while, just to kind of say, okay, I've done my time. Now I'm going to go back and do, and just hope for the best.
But also we love being around people. It's the reason that we have the punishment that we have in society is to take people out of society. And isolate them and separate them. There's a reason psychologically that we do that.
Right.
And so to do that to the entire populace it's only going to last for so long.
I suppose, but don't you find this? I don't know. Don't you find this kind of communicating and hanging out to be satisfying enough?
No.
No, not at all.
No, I love Skype. I bless it since years ago when I was separated from my family and my friends. Skype was the greatest invention ever to be able to communicate and hang out with people. Or Zoom, as now we're using it, whatever.
Right.
But there is nothing like being in a room with a person and actually having human contact. That's
very radical thing to say.
Yeah. Wow.
When were you away from everybody? What was that about? When you were shooting?
The Revenant. Yeah. When I was up in Canada for several months. So that was the first time that I was really away from my family and friends since.
Oh wow.
Probably ever. For the most part, I would go to New York or Chicago or Pittsburgh or Cleveland or where I go all over. But the first time that I was contractually obligated to be away from my family, was that those months in Canada, and I was very thankful in that instance for Skype and whatever technologies we had to stay in contact and see each other, but it was not the same as actually being in the room with them, of course.
No, and in some ways it makes you yearn more.
Oh yeah, very much so.
Because you kind of get a glimpse at what's on the other side of the screen, but it feels very dissatisfying on some level too. But
yeah. Well, not to oversimplify it, but it is like, the grass is always greener. It's kind of like you look on the screen, it's like, wait, what's going on over there? And you want to go through the screen, and see everybody. And
yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, exactly. Maybe if we had much bigger, expansive, like I have, for instance, this is almost like an eye exam, but I don't know.
Oh, right, the wide angle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna
Those
make
are cool, man.
Small.
Yeah, my mom gave me one for Christmas, actually, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
I got it for the phone.
Right onto my phone, and then it can take wide angle and just covers everything.
I know, but I've been sort of stuck. But I'm going up to the country, so I'm moving, and certainly there's a number of things that kind of just or experiences or instances that converged at once, which kind of motivated me to get on it. I've been wanting to get out of the city. So I was one idea was potentially Los Angeles, but my ex, she's coming back when they wrap on this series she's working on. And my son is just there for the, for the summer he has a sister and they're all there. So I figured, well, if I got there, then I'm just going to be, even though I have a circle of friends and associates, colleagues, what have you, I'm going to be completely cut off come, in a few months later when they come back in the late fall or whatever.
Yeah, if you were to go to Los Angeles, you're saying,
Yeah, and I have a mother who's in a nursing home here. She has very advanced dementia, so it's very, so then I thought, well, okay, and the other thing is I'm actually in what was my father's apartment. He passed away. And so I thought, well, if I move, I don't want to be spending $2,500 a month on a tiny one bed, it's painful. So I just thought, well, let me take an apartment a little north of the city. And so I found a place, and what's good about it is I can just take whatever I want to keep and just put it all in a truck and just go, and then just bring it in, just set it up instead of worrying about like, what do I do with everything? If I went to LA, what am I going to do? Drive a truck out there? It just made no sense right now.
Right. Yeah, no, it's kind of crazy I admire you for relocating as you are, but I can't imagine. It was 2 years ago that I relocated permanently to Los Angeles, and that was not an easy time in general. Now I can't imagine what it'd be like right now to relocate to a major city.
Well, I haven't started the next phase. I may have a harder time than I'm excited about it, but I may have a hard time. And, we are still working out a lot of the logistics about the fall and all that,
Yeah.
But, my son does have school, but I don't know what that's going to look like. So he does not want to live upstate, so it's, even though I'm not that far.
Did he grow up in the city?
What?
Did he grow up in the city?
Yeah, Brooklyn. Yeah.
In Brooklyn, yeah. Okay.
And his high school's in Brooklyn, and his friends are, more or less in Brooklyn. So.
Yeah, that's tough.
I don't know. At 16, you know how important your friends are. It's like.
Well, I didn't have friends when I was 16, but yes, I theoretically yes.
Yeah. I'm like, one day I'm going to have a podcast. Then I was beaten to the ground shortly after that remark. Actually, I always had a good sense of humor, and I learned pretty quick how. I know this is a cliche. A lot of people say it. It's comedians, how they use it to, they're uncomfortable and they use it as an icebreaker.
Yeah.
Nonstop, by the way.
Oh yeah, man! It's helicopters here in LA.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
I got my windows shut. It's nonstop helicopter sounds.
Anyway, but I mean, I learned like there was I just learned real quick that it was a disarming tool.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's kind of And see, it's like a double-edged sword a bit because I was never like a very big kid at all. I was actually quite small for my age growing up. And when I was young and I get bullied or whatever, I developed a acerbic tongue.
Oh, okay.
I became a mouthy little brat is essentially what happened. That was my defense mechanism. I had no other way. And I never really got rid of that into adulthood. So it still gets me in a great deal of trouble all the time. It's like, man, I really should have outgrown that. And I still haven't because it became such a developed thing.
Yes.
Whatever it was, reptilian brain, the primate, whatever part of my brain, you know, like I developed that as a fight or flight thing that, and I still have it, and it gets me in trouble a great deal often, but yeah, it is what it is.
Right. There's worse things. It's your own little Tourette's problem.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, it is. It is often like Tourette's. Like as soon as I say something, as soon as I like almost feel it coming out of my mouth, and as soon as I automatically, right away, I know like that's the dumbest thing you could have said right now.
Oh yeah, I have had those too though. I have that. I've only had that with like famous people though, where I'm trying to impress them, but I say absolutely the most passive aggressive thing that I could possibly think of. I brought this up with somebody else recently. Where once I was in Stockholm. And I'm in a hotel, a nice hotel, and Jerry Seinfeld was in the hotel at the same time, and he had just recently ended the series, you know, and he was doing his first special, and he did it in Stockholm. You can look it up.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
I don't know why, but it was Stockholm. So, and he was staying in the hotel, so it was only a matter of time I was going to be on the elevator. He was on there with two of his comedian friends, and we're in this little elevator, and of all the things I could have said, because we made eye contact, I said, "I thought you were canceled." Like, I don't know what I was thinking. First of all, it's not even clever. Doesn't make sense. But I said that to him, and he kind of went, like, you know how he does.
Yeah.
He has that kind of, and it was totally deserved. My parents, when I told them, they thought he was obnoxious. But I'm like, you're skipping over the part where your perfect son said a very sarcastic thing about his, you know. And
I wonder if that was after the Larry King appearance. Do you know what I'm talking about? When he was on Larry King, King.
Yeah, and he went off on that.
How does it feel getting canceled?
Right. Yeah.
Like, we weren't canceled, Larry.
We went on #1.
Do you know who I am?
Yeah. It's a great. If you're watching this, and I know you are, you pause us and go right to the YouTube and watch that. It's unbelievable. Because he doesn't let up on it. He ends up.
No, it goes right to commercial.
But no, he Larry King. Because, I mean, what did Jerry Seinfeld be Larry King for, you know? But that's right. It's very canceled. I mean, you know, I don't know what.
You're the #1 show in the country, Larry.
You're right. 17 million people on an average night, Larry. Yeah.
So good.
Who is this person? But anyway, the moment I said it, I'm like that. I just, you know, you feel the heat rising and you're sweating. It was just ridiculous. Thank God it was only like a short, so I got off as ridiculous. And then the other thing that happened when I was younger, and I was at a movie theater in Manhattan, and I came out, and a much younger Al Franken.
Yeah, sure.
I don't know if you're on it. He was a writer for Saturday Night Live, and he was on sort of in the supporting cast as well. Like, you know, they would also use him and his writing partner, Tom Davis. They would be on like occasionally in sketches and stuff. So he had this one running sketch before Stewart. Remember that whole thing? I'm.
Yeah, Stuart Smalley.
Smalley. Before that, he had this bit where he said how the 70s were called the me decade, because it was a very narcissistic decade. A lot of like, you know, therapy.
Sure.
So he said in his like little, probably it was on the news update or something. He goes, the 80s are going to be the Al Franken decade. He wanted that to catch on and become. So I saw him. He had since stopped doing Saturday Night Live shortly, not long after, or a second stint there. And I went up to him outside the movie theater. He said, so is the Al Franken decade over? So again, why would I say that? Am I trying to inure myself to him? Why would you say such a thing? However, about 6 months ago, just towards the end of the winter, or maybe a little before that, I was walking down Park Avenue, and they're getting coming out of this hotel and going into his car was Al Franken. And I passed him by and I said, is the Al Franken decade over? Still over? I didn't say that. I should have. That would have been funny now. See,
it's definitely over now.
Tragedy plus time. So it's definitely over. So I said, no, I was being more sincere. And I said, Al, I love you. We love you. I probably said we. And I said, when are you going to come back? And he kind of leans in. Well, first he said thank you. And then he leans in and he goes, that motherfucker Schumer, he talked to Chuck Schumer. And he was really obviously hated the guy. That's because Schumer, being the minority senator, senator, he is preventing probably Al from getting back in the race. That's my guess.
Is he still the minority senator in New York? He can't be. He's been there forever.
Schumer? Yeah, still. I know, for many, many years. Those guys stick around
Who's
forever.
the majority senator then?
Well, he'll be a Republican. That's what's his face. The one that
I'm so out of touch. I used to know all this stuff like that.
No, it's oh my God, the one that protects Trump all the time.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know what? I'm
State senator.
It's been a long day. I was thinking about the different, not majority, minority. I was thinking about senior, junior.
Oh, right. Oh,
so
right.
Chuck Schumer's certainly the senior senator.
Certainly, he's the senior senator. Yeah, Hillary Clinton was the junior senator.
Yes.
She still is, I guess, right?
No.
Drop out.
I think she got.
Okay. Here's the whole section. Here's the whole section we're gonna have to excise from the podcast, clearly, because. Wait a minute, but who is Harry? Is it Harry? Why am I blanking on this asshole's name? He's like the most. Who is Trump's? Does all of Trump's bidding, prevents anything from coming, any bills of making it into the Senate.
Yeah, I don't know who anybody is.
Oh yeah, you do. This guy is like he looks like a turtle.
No, the turtle guy is Mitch McConnell.
Mitch McConnell, that's the Senate.
He's not from New York, is he?
No, I'm saying he's not the junior or senior. I'm saying he is the.
Oh, we're going back to majority minority. Oh yeah. All right, yeah. Mitch McConnell.
Confusing, Mitch McConnell. Thank you. I was like, why did I blank on his name? But yeah.
Also, I love that turtle guy is what got me.
Yeah, right. Well,
yeah, I'm like, the turtle guy. I know.
He does look like a turtle.
He does. It's true. It's kind of,
Yeah.
Whatever. I know.
He has the whole. No,
it's kind of mean. To be honest, if we're being objective about it,
he's a cocksucker.
He's a mean politician. He's done really shitty things that influence civilization, but also it's kind of civilly mean for the people on the left, such as us, to call him a turtle. It's no point to admit that that's kind. It is a little.
So I mean it as
a little mean.
I just mean it as a mnemonic type of thing. I'm not trying to insult. I like turtles.
Yeah, I love turtles. I had one when I was a kid. I caught one.
Yeah.
Mean, because I should have just left it alone. But I caught it. And I put it in a cardboard box and fed it.
It may have been on its way to the eggs to take care of its young. You never know what you did.
Yeah, it was an alligator snapper, a baby alligator snapper.
Those are vicious, aren't they?
Well, when they grow up, they are. But I threw mine back in the pond.
Once you domesticated it. It's like
they didn't know how to fend for itself anymore.
Well, yeah, it's what.
How cruel is that?
It's like you get a cat, and you're like, I kind of
put it in a box, hung out with it, watched Nightmare on Elm Street, fed it popcorn, and then threw it back in the wild. He was like, "Hey man, where's Freddy?"
Do you think it lost its edge by the time you put it back? Like other
I don't know. Even if it didn't, this was like 30 years ago. It's probably dead.
Not to come back full circle, but maybe once it was out in the wild again, maybe it used its humor to fend off other aggressive turtles, like or
the other turtles, the trout, the chubs.
What?
You know, those are fish and popular in Michigan lake culture.
I see. It's,
chubs.
You're on. It's not my wheelhouse. Our most popular fish in New York is sushi.
Yeah.
I don't know where they catch that, but
have you ever had I've never had sushi. Uni, the gonads of a sea urchin. Have you ever had that?
No. No, sounds appetizing.
Yeah, well, people say it's great. I've never had the guts to try it, but
yeah.
I was just curious while we're on the topic of sushi.
Sure.
The last frontier of sushi that I haven't really crossed into is uni.
So where were we talking about the Senate and everything? Oh, because I had the Al Franken debacle. Yeah. I sort of made up for it, but I put him in a bad, I put people in bad moods, but those two instances, but when I did that Al Franken remark the first time, that I was really young. I was like a teenager. But the Seinfeld, there's no excuse. I was an adult. I was probably in my 30s already. There was no reason why I should have been saying such a thing to him. I'm much more poised now. Like, I think I was just trying to be clever and thought I'd say something. And it was just,
Hey, I'm with you. I was never really a big celebrity approacher. I'm not a big table approacher in general, even for people that I know that aren't celebrities. I just generally, I feel uncomfortable approaching people. I feel awkward doing it.
It is awkward.
But there are two instances that I remember from my first visit to New York when I was 19, 20 years old. And the first one was that I went to the MoMA at the old location. This is back in 2000.
What old location?
Was it? It was in Midtown, wasn't it? It's different.
It's still in Midtown, isn't
it? MoMA didn't change locations?
No. Well, there was a period where it was under construction and they opened a temporary place in like Long Island City or something like that. There's a
okay, all right.
Also a PS1, which is like a MoMA in more of a MoMA experimental site, or there's a building that's in Queens, I think, as well.
So when I was there years later, I think that must have been what was going on. That's why I thought
it could have been. Yeah.
Okay. So MoMA at the same location. But anyway, I'm there by myself, and then walking up the stairs and down from the stairs, we're going to pass each other is Steve Buscemi.
Yeah, that's a good one.
And like, I look at him and I don't react or anything. I just, I look at anybody that I'm passing, and he looks at me and he immediately looks away and starts whistling. Like, I'm like, what? I wasn't going to say anything, man.
Right.
And then like 2 days later, I go into, at the time was my favorite place to go play music and eat food. It was called the Sidewalk Cafe on 6th and A. I don't know if it's still there.
I think I played there.
Oh yeah, great. Yeah. Well, it was back in the day when Lash ran the open mic, and
I remember.
It was awesome. But I go in there I didn't have any money, so I was probably asking for like a tomato on toast or something, But outside was David Cross, and like I looked at him like, wow, it's David Cross. And then he immediately did this. And I'm like, how do all these people know that I like them? Yeah, right. Exactly. I wasn't gonna say anything to anybody, but how do you know that I was gonna?
You wouldn't approach them?
No, I never would have.
Okay. Because
I had no intention of it. I never would have. But they immediately know right away by looking at me that I'm a Steve Buscemi and David Cross fan. They could spot that a mile away.
That's a good case. Those are both great sightings. I've seen them both. And in fact, I met Steve Buscemi interpersonally introduced, like perfectly appropriate to have a conversation, like on 2 different film events, and I was introduced at Steve at, you know, and yet, like, because the unfortunate part is I wanted so much on the podcast.
Oh yeah.
That I felt on the spot, under pressure, to impress him, which is completely the worst thing.
I don't think that's his style, man.
No, I don't think so. But you know what's funny? Again, around 6 months ago or 5 months ago, I'm walking in Union Square, and coming towards me on the crowded sidewalk, Michael Buscemi, his brother.
Oh, yeah.
So I said, Michael. And he looks up and goes, he got so scared.
Yeah.
We stood on the sidewalk for a half hour talking. And we've texted since. He was about to do the podcast when the lockdown came. We had I think pretty much just about scheduled. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So I have his number. So you know. So if you know, one day we'll do it. I like Michael too. He's done a lot of independent stuff, and he's a good actor. He's done some episodics.
Yeah, I agree. Those dudes, again, it's all anecdotal. There's stories that I've heard through a friend or whatever. But from what I understand, like, those guys were pretty down to earth New York cats that you know, just love their city and love their community and love being. There's a friend of mine was shooting a film in New York several years ago, and very low budget, micro budget, no budget,
right?
Whatever you want to call it.
No budge.
Sure. Even no budge means like $100,000, but like whatever.
Really?
There's literally no money here.
Uh-huh.
And Steve Buscemi was like walking by, and he's like, "Hey, what are you guys doing? You shooting a movie?" And they're like, "Yeah." He's like, "Ah, that's cool. I work in movies." And they're like, "Yeah, we know. You're Steve Buscemi." Yeah, you know, and he's just like, "Yeah, you want any help? I can hang out."
No way.
Yeah, and they were just like, no, everything we're good with everything going on.
What?
And well, I mean, everything is still contractual. Like, I mean, who knows? And he's just like, well, I just thought I'd
write a part in immediately. I don't understand anything.
Well, no, I know I would, but like, you know, the point is that Steve Buscemi is just a nice dude who loves his city, his community, and everything he's a part of.
And the film world. He used to be, when he was first starting in it, when there was this New York downtown scene back in the 70s, late 70s, early into the 80s.
Yeah, there's all that the Lower East Side, East Village scene in the late 70s, early 80s.
Yeah, there was this underground art.
John Lurie, Jean-Michel Basquiat, and like all those guys, like buddies.
Right.
Like
John Lurie, right, exactly. In that period, Amos Poe he's done my podcast now a couple of times. Amos Poe was one of the first of the underground filmmakers. They were all doing painting, sculpture. You know, then they had it like we're in a band, and then they picked up the camera and they started making movies. I mean, this is what they were all doing. It just a number of them turned out to be especially good at it. You know, like Jim Jarmusch, right? So he rose.
Yeah, Jarmusch. Yeah, exactly.
So he rose to the top. Amos Poe, but before even Jarmusch, Amos Poe was this guy, and he picked up. He was like the first one in that group to pick up the camera and then make a number of really low budge, no budge film. Yeah. So in that, so he was
negative budge.
Those exact people. He has a great anecdote. If you listen to Amos Poe on my podcast the first time, he talks about how he had like $2 in his pocket, and he was in the on St. Mark's, and he was supposed to meet John Lurie for dinner at, you know, probably to get coffee or something. And he's walking by St. Mark's, 88 Mark's, you know, the movie, the slow movie theater, St. Mark's movie theater, and there's a double feature.
I do know that.
You gotta listen to this story though. That when he tells it, I don't think I should tell the whole thing about how he had almost nothing in his pocket, and what he had left he spent on the movie ticket because he wants to go to this double feature. And then what happened in the movie? It's just an incredible story. Well, let's go to the archives. I'll stick it in the show.
Oh, I'm gonna check it out.
Dude, you love it.
With Amos Poe, off the top of my head, it's possible I've heard things about him, but I will check this out.
It's part of like
fantastic. I'm fascinated with that era of New York, the late 70s and 80s.
Me too.
Lower East Side art scene, filmmaking scene, like all that it's awesome to me. So
I'm totally into that whole scene too. Here, I'm going to show you something.
Oh yeah, there you go. Okay.
I'm really into that whole scene. Anyway, so the reason I brought it up though, that whole thing, and you should listen to the Amos Poe episode. I can't look it up at the moment, but it's easy to find if you Google it. And that Steve Buscemi was partners. He had I think they had an improv duo.
Yeah, they were doing a lot of things together. I believe. I mean, I don't know if it was. I don't know about Amos Poe, but I know Buscemi was doing. It was performance art or improv or whatever. Right.
With the guy from Sons of Anarchy, who I have also his number because I ran into him at the Woodstock Film Festival. I wanted him on my show forever. And he said he'd do it on the phone, and I, of course, have not gotten back to him, but I do have his phone number. So the guy from the beefy guy from Sons of Anarchy, he's been around forever.
Yeah.
Again, it's embarrassing.
Everything's embarrassing.
I just should remember everybody's name.
My whole life's embarrassing. Everything is.
No, but you don't want to bring up people and then forget their names. That's just stupid.
Well. Okay.
But I should contact him. But he's definitely not going to be on Zoom. That guy, But he's done a lot of indie films over the years. He pops up in a lot of stuff still. And the Sounds of Anarchy show put him at the top of again on this map. It wasn't a show I enjoyed that much. I watched a bunch of them just to see if I would like it, but.
Yeah, it wasn't my thing, to be honest. And there's so much out there to watch. Like it's so hard to keep up. I've watched a few episodes of Sons of Anarchy. I'm aware of the show, but it was not really my cup of tea, and that's fine. That's okay.
It is.
I like it. I'm sure it's a great show.
A lot of people love it.
So many things to watch. Yeah. I can't do it all, man.
Great cast. Great actors in the show. I'm sure it's, but do you happen to see? I don't know if you have HBO.
I have HBO Now.
Okay, well, you have HBO.
You know what that is?
That's the one that's only online?
Yes. So you don't have to have a cable subscription to get it, which is what HBO Go was. So it's HBO Now.
Became HBO Max.
You can, and now, yes, it's now HBO Max.
Right.
They've changed over. They've conglomerated all of Warner Cable or everything, every property known to man, essentially.
I just have HBO Go on my Apple TV, though I haven't upgraded or anything. And
and I use I have a Roku TV, so HBO Now is not gone into HBO Max yet on Roku. They're still trying to contractually negotiate all the.
They're so 2019 Roku.
Yeah. Give it the program. Get the program, Roku.
The show I was going to bring up, though, is Mark Ruffalo's show. I don't know if you had a chance. He plays two twin brothers.
He plays the twins. Yeah.
It's a remarkable.
I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my list.
And my old friend, Derek C. in France, Blue Valentine, he developed it and directed. He directs all the episodes, and he didn't reply to my email, but I'm sure he's pleased. Our sons were friends. They went to the same middle school. Well, I guess it was still grade school together, and we got to know each other pretty well for a while. Talented director.
Yeah, I'll check that out, man. It's certainly it's at the top of my list. There's so many. That's recent. That's only in the past couple of weeks, right?
Yeah. Well, they're on episode. I think this week it'll be episode 6, actually. So it's not as.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. I think it's only 7 episodes.
Oh yeah, that's typical for an HBO series, right? 6 or 7 episodes a
I don't know.
season.
I like those a lot more. I like the short ones. But,
I like that too. It's like the British style, like the BBC or
oh
Channel
yeah,
4 or
two,
whatever.
two,
But just
two
do
seasons
2
now.
seasons and that's it.
I agree with that.
Like yeah, like it's so embarrassing to like run shows like The Office into the
Yeah,
ground.
right. The
Like
original.
you didn't need to do that, man. Like
Well, I will say, if you tuned into the last season, you probably still. I mean, I found honestly the least funny part of that show was Steve Carell. I liked Steve
oh,
Carell. He's in a show with my ex-wife.
what show's that?
The morning show. It's on HBO Max.
Oh yeah. No, it's Apple Plus, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's on the Apple. Excuse me. Anyway, so he's this fine comedian and actor, but I did not. I was this one. I had it back in 2004, something like that. My neighbor. I lived in a town. I was living in a brownstone with my then wife, and we had a brand new baby. And my neighbor downstairs, whatever, he's turned me on to The Office UK, and man, I just loved. That was it. One of did the American one. It's not. I wasn't trying to be a snob about it, but I was so smitten with the British one. And I'll tell you, eventually somebody gave me a box set of The Office. The original, and
Right.
with both seasons plus the special, they had like a reunion Christmas or holiday party special, whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I watch it maybe once every year. The whole thing. It's like it works every time.
It's amazing. It's amazing. And yeah, I also too. I obviously I didn't watch The Office, the BBC version when it aired because I'm.
No, I was also.
But the same thing. Like a friend of mine had the DVD deluxe set or whatever, and we watched it before it was a thing on NBC or whatever.
No, I didn't see it in its original run either. Just right after. I'm pretty sure because I think it was. If it was around 2000, I'm guessing. I don't remember when it came out.
Yeah, I think so, man. I mean, it had. My friends often make fun of me for using this term, but I think that it was pre 9/11. I think
that far back, yeah.
I think so.
It
was that the type of comedy, that situational humor that like it didn't exist for a few years after 9/11. It took a while for everybody to recover a little bit.
Right.
And so when I watched it, and I'm not trying to be a hipster snob either, they're like, oh, I knew about the British Office before you knew about it. I'm just saying, like, it was so already well established that how awesome that was that, like, when NBC put out the version with Steve Carell and all the other fantastic performers.
Yeah.
I was kind of like, it's weird. Like that's the way I felt. Like I was like, I don't know. This seems like a weird alternate reality. Like I don't.
Yeah.
No.
But I think the original thought is true. I like just 2 seasons and leave one.
Just 2 series. In England, they call them series. Just 2 series and done. That's it. That's the story. Move on to something else.
Right. You want more, but tough shit.
In America, we run everything into the fucking ground.
Absolutely. 11 seasons.
If it's making money, keep going.
It's feeding.
Just keep going. We'll run it right into where it's nothing.
Yeah. You need that third house, the 12th car. Although, since we're on the subject, how many seasons has The Simpsons been going?
Okay, well, but now this is a different subject now. Because The Simpsons is now a cultural institution. It's not just a sitcom. It's not just a series. It's like 60 Minutes. It's like Dateline or something. It's a part of what we're doing.
Yeah.
You know, like it's just
Saturday Night Live.
Same thing. Now, there are moments that I've disliked The Simpsons and disliked Saturday Night Live, but they are the same. They're cultural institutions that are just there now.
Yeah, right. It's very true.
And until
I was a little.
Sorry.
That's okay.
No. I mean, when Lorne Michaels, James L. Brooks, and Matt Groening, and obviously the voice actors and everybody, when they pass away, that'll be probably the end.
Right.
But until then, like these are just
Bill Hartman was on both.
Yeah, it was on both. Yeah. I just recently watched I don't remember the YouTuber's name, unfortunately. I can't promote him here. Like I don't care about doing that anyway. But he puts together blocks of like people's appearances on Letterman, and I just watched like all of Phil Hartman's Letterman appearances.
Oh wow.
It's amazing, man. But like, like as it gets towards like he starts talking about news radio and he's starting this whole new chapter of his life, like it starts to get like very melancholy because what's going to happen.
Yes, right. It causes anxiety because like it's like you want to warn him.
Yeah, man. I know.
Very.
It's all these things. It's just like every time I watch a Kennedy, documentary about JFK, I'm just like, oh, I hope this ends better.
Yeah, this time I hope
it never does.
Maybe this time you won't get shot.
Yeah, no, you always get shot.
True. Well, that of course is, one of those things that why the imagination is so incredibly powerful because we can watch a movie over and over knowing how it ends, but you still root for like a different ending at times. It's amazing.
I think that's a fascinating point you make. I completely agree. Like every time I watch anything about any tragedy that I know the outcome, I still find myself rooting for a better outcome.
Yeah,
and,
right. Like
and I think that most people do, and I think that's like the treasure of being a human being,
Yeah, right. Optimism, even in even when it's going to end. Like,
I know John Lennon's going to get killed, but I'm going to watch this movie about him anyway.
Yeah.
You know these things. Like it's just it's
you get a sense of dread too because you know it's coming. I was thinking of something when you were talking about Phil Hartman. That was very, very distraught when I heard about that, and such a violent end. But I had I don't know if I got this before or after. Probably after. I got the Phil Hartman collection, the Saturday Night Live collection.
Yeah.
And I had that until recently, and I only had 2 of those. And Phil Hartman, because I think like the what was it called? The anal retentive chef, the anal retentive.
Yeah. And now we're going to put it in the foil.
Yes.
And tightly seal the corners and then dispose it.
Now it's refuse. No, now it's refuse worthy.
Oh, refuse worthy. Yeah. Oh, anal retentive chef. I forgot about that bit.
And the unfrozen caveman lawyer was another one.
Oh no, that's brilliant. I'm just a simple caveman.
I don't know. You're human.
It frightens and confuses me.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. However, my client is worthy of.
I don't know. I'm just talking on this crazy contraption. I don't know
what I'm doing. My client is owed whatever.
Yeah, there's so many.
Brilliant stuff.
Yeah, there's so many. There's
only one other collection. It's not a cast member.
Mark on that show.
There's only one other collection I ever owned of that like that. It's not a cast member, but it's a regular guest. Can you guess who it is? Same period. It was like it was not a cast member, but it was one of the Saturday Night Live collections.
from that time, from the late 80s, early 90s?
Pretty much, so, yeah.
Yeah, I'd say either Steve Martin or Tom Hanks.
Neither one, but both good guests. Guesses and guests. No, Christopher Walken.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. The Continental.
The what was his name? The something guy that with the he would invite over the women. He'd steal their glove or something like that, and
this is the Continental, right?
The Continental. And now Phil Hartman would do the intro, right? And now another episode of the Continental. And then he would come in and
no, please don't go.
And the camera.
To be honest, that skit would not fly today.
No way, not anymore.
No way. I mean, it's essentially it's rape humor.
It's rapey, but he would. Yeah, the camera was the girl. The camera was the POV of the girl.
Yeah, the camera was the girl. Yeah, right.
He would lock her in, right? And then he would have her. He would climb up on the ladder up the bookcase, and then he would look down, and he would make a comment about it. He was looking down her cleavage. Yeah, you're right. It wouldn't fly to.
No, it's completely unacceptable. I don't even know if they ever re-air that. Even I don't even.
It was funny.
BBC.com has the Continental skits up there. Like
there was one. My favorite sketch though of all time involving Christopher Walken was the
Colonel Angus.
Thank you. That was it.
It's so good. I just watched it a couple days ago.
Their antebellum sketch.
It's so good.
I
love that one.
Yeah.
I love
the
oyster cowbell sketch.
Oh well, yeah. Well, that's
it's legendary.
Right. That's everybody's go-to, but mine is Cunnilingus, and I love going south, like coming down south. And
it's so funny. Everything about it is so funny.
Perfection.
I watch it 15 times in a row and just crack up the entire time.
I don't know how they got through that sketch.
Rachel Dratch is amazing in it. Just everybody is so great.
Amy Poehler, was she in that one?
A
young Amy Poehler?
Yeah, Amy.
Wasn't she? I think she might have been in that. What?
Was it? No, I don't know. I backtrack. I don't remember.
I'm imagining Amy Poehler in that sketch too, but it might have been a little too early for that. I don't know.
I just watched it like 2 weeks ago with my girlfriend. We were hysterical. I can't remember if it was in it now or not. 2 weeks later. That's ridiculous.
Interestingly enough, regarding the cowbell sketch, there was obviously they just picked up a CD to find out who produced. They looked up, like, whoever wrote the sketch. Christopher Walken is supposed to be the producer of Blue Oyster Cult's classic, right?
Yeah, Bruce Dickinson is the name they use, which is hilarious.
Don't Fear the Reaper.
Iron Maiden, who had nothing to do with Blue Oyster Cult, but it's
great.
Christopher Walken in the sketch uses the name Bruce Dickinson.
Right.
Bruce Dickinson was the lead singer of Iron Maiden and the creator of Iron Maiden.
Oh, no. You know what it was? I worked at Sony Music, and we reissued that CD. Bruce Dickinson actually did produce the reissue, but this was not
Oyster Cult?
Yeah, of that album, but it was a reissue years later. So it may have been a different Bruce Dickinson, but it was not the original producer.
It's a common name.
It would have been in that session, of course. Yeah. But it doesn't.
Another one of my favorite Christopher Walken sketches that people don't remember is
That's not a Christopher Walken sketch. That's a Will Ferrell sketch.
Yeah, it's a Will Ferrell sketch and a Jimmy Fallon breaking up, like he always does.
Of course.
It's a weird shtick to have when you're not supposed to break up on live TV. That was his whole bit.
It's still
and now he's hosting the Tonight Show. Like I don't. How does this?
He's throwing me.
World, man. How do we get?
I can't watch.
All right. Anyway, but there's one Trivial Psychic. Do you ever see that one of Christopher Walken, Trivial Psychic?
I don't remember that one.
And it's I think it's based on the movie he did. Oh my gosh, it's so embarrassing. I'm blanking on the name right now. I think it was written by Stephen King, but where you shake the hand with somebody.
Oh yes, I remember now, and it almost
and
like
then, he has the future.
Yeah,
so he did a sketch.
That was from the Dead Zone.
Dead Zone. Yes.
He's playing that character years later.
Yeah. So in Saturday Night Live, they did a character called Trivial Psychic, where he shakes the hand of somebody and he's just like,
right, and he can tell their
future. I've got news for you.
Right. Yeah.
You're gonna get coffee in the morning.
Real trivial, right?
You're gonna leave it in the taxi cab.
Yeah.
It's like Trivial Psychic.
It's so brilliant.
It's so funny.
Captain Hindsight Saturday Night Live sketch?
Captain Hindsight?
I think that might have been something else. Captain Hindsight was a superhero who would show up and he would show up at a crime scene and he would say to the victims, oh, you shouldn't have gone walking in the dark by yourself. You should have gone straight home. It was
I don't know that sketch. That's a brilliant premise.
Yeah. It may not be Saturday Night Live now, but Trivial Psychic reminded me of Captain Hindsight.
That's so funny.
Well, Google it or YouTube it because it's got to be on.
I will. I'm gonna make a note of that right now.
You should. It's. There's a bunch of them.
Captain Hindsight is that's such a funny idea.
I know, and it sounds like Saturday Night Live. But it could have been another sketch show, but it's definitely not like Mad TV, which I thought
There's been so many great sketch shows.
Mad TV, I thought.
My life, like I just. Like when I was a kid, it was pretty much SNL and then In Living Color.
Right.
And then like in the 90s, like Mad TV came along. And then with the internet, it's like also there's Mr. Show, which is genius. And
which?
Mr. Show with Bob.
Oh, of course. I saw all those, yeah.
Yeah, and then there was like Human Giant, Good Neighbor, and like all these amazing sketch shows.
Now on Funny or Die there, I just got turned on. I mean, I don't know if it has the lasting power. I didn't watch that much of it, but I watched a brand new one. It's called Long Hair Businessman. Do you know it?
No, I don't know that one.
Will Ferrell's in it. And their latest episode is on Zoom. They do it's like they're all on Zoom having a business meeting, and it's all about business speak and just how imbecilic these guys sound. But they all have like long hair. So it's called Long Hair Businessman, and you can watch on YouTube. Will Ferrell's one of the guys, and what's his name for Saturday Night Live? The guy who had the speech impediment, a small speech impediment. He played MacGyver. He did the good MacGyver movie. He was on Saturday Night Live a few years back.
Oh, no, he did he was the Falconer.
I'm not sure, but I know he played MacGyver in the movie.
Yeah, he was in Nebraska with.
Oh yeah, that's right, with Bruce Stern. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think he was the son in Nebraska. That's right.
Yeah, I'm blanking on his name right now too, man.
Will somebody also maybe?
I want to say Bill, but I keep thinking Bill Hayden. It's not Bill Hayden.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a funny sketch. I watched a couple of them, and they're just, how there's this way of saying nothing through all this kind of business speak, and it's really funny. The one on the Zoom call is fantastic because there's one guy who can't get the video to work, and they just constantly try to tear him up, and they're all kissing each other's asses, trying to be the most sort of clever. It's really funny.
I'll check it out. I'm always on the look for that type of stuff.
I know, me too.
So entertaining.
Yeah, especially now.
Did you see the Zoom call where somebody, the Los Angeles City Council was having a meeting where they, as the democracy is, like they normally would have citizens come up to the podium and air their grievances.
Like a town hall.
But they did it over Zoom recently, and somebody zoomed in and had a minute and a half, and they just unloaded on the police chief.
Oh, yes, I saw that.
Yeah.
And then he said he had like 8 seconds left, so he just said, fuck you. And
I yield my time, and also fuck you.
I saw that, yeah.
Brilliant.
There's another Zoom. It was on the Oh, Conan O'Brien's did a mock. I'm sure it was all they knew it was going to happen. There was no way that. But there's this again this small business, doing a Zoom meeting. I think they're all legitimately part of the company, and you can see it. And they're having their Zoom meeting, and all of a sudden, Conan O'Brien just pops in, and he's really funny. I mean, this is like when Conan O'Brien is at his best. I think he's a very funny guy. But and I don't.
I assume so.
Well, he's one of the writers for.
He wasn't funny. He's had a damn good career.
It's true. Well, between Saturday Night Live and The Simpsons as well, right? He brilliant.
Yeah,
probably created a lot of the most famous characters, is my guess. But he's really just really funny on the show. Since this, some of the talk show hosts now are. Because I do go on YouTube on my Apple TV and I'll just like watch some of the monologues and, all the guys are at home, of course, like Stephen Colbert. I never was doing it until recently. Once I got locked in here, I started watching it just because I think it's a nice blend of really, really acerbic humor. And they all are mercilessly relay into Trump. Like, so it feels kind of like cathartic to watch them do it for me,
Yeah, I actually agree. Like I've made jokes about people that do talk shows, like being at home now. Like I've made jokes about like, it looks like crap.
Yeah.
Like whatever.
But I don't watch Jimmy Fallon. I don't think he's my guy. He's not.
Yeah, but there is like an element of like the checks and balances of the network have kind of been taken away. Like these guys are saying things now that they never would have been able to say if they were actually airing. I know that's kind of Carson, but like.
I get what you're saying, but you're right. It's incredible. Some of what between Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert and even Conan to some degree. So it's pretty good. It's like, but
yeah, I've been enjoying it. I've been watching it.
But then they're bringing on like a lot of African American folks onto their show to talk specifically about Black Lives Matter and stuff. And it's just a little bit of a stretch. That's all I'll say. It's probably a good thing though. I'm not going to bash that. They're not the most. It seems a little bit self-serving to bring on people like that.
Well, it's just.
But what are you going to do?
A little weird when like Jimmy Fallon brings on a black person and he's just like, "Tell me, what did I do wrong?"
Yeah, right. Exactly.
It's just like, fuck, you figure it out for yourself, asshole.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, what is going on here, man?
Right. Why don't you do a Zoom call with Conan O'Brien and Jimmy Fallon and figure it out? Because there's this apologist thing, which it comes off a little bit.
I just don't like the way that everybody's like, acting oblivious to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what's really bothering me about the whole thing is everybody's acting oblivious. Like we've known about this certainly my whole lifetime. I was only born in 1980. Mm-hmm. So it's been around longer than that, I assure you. But like the fact that people are just like, oh, I didn't realize I was wrong. What did I do wrong?
You're right.
Like, you know what you did wrong, man. Like what? Own up to it. Like you're not a little kid. It's not time to like say, "Ooh, I got a boo-boo. I want ice cream." Like, no, fucking, you did it, mate. Like you were part of it. You succeeded partly as a result of the way that America, everything's been run. Like.
Yeah. Yes.
So,
better late than never.
Well, okay.
Yeah. I mean, but you're right. It's like, it's funny. I got a little bit of that myself, a very, very tiny way when I almost, it doesn't compare because I put up a photo of George Floyd as my Facebook, the armchair protester that I am. So I put up George Floyd's image and I have a large Facebook following mostly because of the podcast and all the people that have come on it or whatever. The film industry it's mostly. And nobody said anything about it for several days. And then I got this direct message from somebody that is a friend on Facebook, but I don't remember ever meeting them. And it's this woman, she's Latinx, whatever, she expresses her discomfort with my using that photo. And I said, and she goes, take it down, And I'm sure you meant it in a, in a kind of a, sort of in the spirit of
Yeah,
solidarity,
sure.
but
Yeah.
it's not. It makes me uncomfortable. So I said, well, you don't know me, and then I passed it by my ex-wife, who's African American. I'm like, well, do you think? Because nobody said anything, and I know a lot of people of color, and they, could certainly have contacted me, but nobody did, except for this woman who I don't know. So I ran it by my ex-wife, and she goes, "No, you don't have to take it down. That's silly. Just tell her that, I wrote her back. I said, "Look, I'm glad you brought this to my attention. I appreciate it. If you want to talk, let me know." And she goes, have some white person walk you through this because, anyway, my ex-wife said she's just in a bad mood and, she's taking it out on you. So the next day, go ahead.
No, I mean that happens. Everybody university is on edge, black and white and
right.
brown and whoever. Man.
That's right.
Like we've been on edge for months now.
Yeah, and
years, decades, centuries, but certainly.
And we have the most toxic human being, and I use that word very, very.
Yeah, he's definitely not helping. We don't need to mention him. He's definitely not helping.
I'll just leave it at calling him a human being, which is a.
Yeah, I mean, he technically is one, but yeah.
I mean, that just on top of everything makes things all the more toxic, So anyway, but you know what? Nobody else had said anything to me, and I could have just ignored it. I said to her, by the way, I appreciate you bringing it to my. If you want to unfriend me, maybe that's the best solution. I said, but I don't think, I don't need to take it down. But the next day, I remembered as I was posting it, a little tiny flash of, before that happened, when I was originally uploading the photo, and I'm feeling, is this a little bit white apologist meets showy liberal thing to do? Like, just for a heartbeat, and then I dismissed it saying, no, it's perfectly okay because it's a gesture, it's a symbolic gesture to show solidarity. It's like, I'm not, it's just saying, I care about this.
I think that's the point, right, is that I know there's a big controversy when everybody put, all black screens on their Instagram or whatever.
Oh, I didn't know.
If you're like, this isn't doing anything. And I'm like, well, it's not supposed to do anything. I don't think anybody that posted this thinks that this is going to make change. It's just a symbolic,
but it's also a
gesture that we're all understanding and trying to understand what's going on in the world,
Yeah, but it's supposed to be part of a collection. See, in of itself, you're right. But as part of like maybe tens of thousands of people doing that, it becomes something bigger than the one individual doing it. So yes, that one individual, you could argue it was like a half a second of doing a non-action in a way. But when it's part of an enormous number of people doing it, it does mean something. So, but the funny thing is I looked online, I found an image that said "in memory of George Floyd," and I replaced it.
With what?
That's what I used. In other words, before I just used his image as my profile photo, and now as my profile photo, I have the same image, only it says along the side of it, "in memory of George Floyd, 1970 to 2020, whatever it is year for." So it becomes more like it says it's a tribute.
Yeah.
So it was my way of kind of saying, okay, I don't know her. I didn't love the way she brought it to my attention, although she did it privately. A lot of people might have done it in a public way, so I do appreciate that she did that. But, her saying, take it down ASAP, it's not cool.
Oh, I don't think you should take it down.
No, I'm saying
I don't know who this person is, and I don't want to.
Right, I know. But I'm just saying she was, I felt mixed about the way she approached me, is what I'm saying. I appreciated that she did it directly as opposed to in a public way, which is, like the way people do things now. They just call people out publicly instead of going to them one-on-one. I had an instance like that a couple of years ago, and the person that did that publicly ended up getting trounced by so many people that know me, and this woman knew me. I'm like, why did she came on directly and she apologized. This is a couple of years ago. She apologized. I'm like, you know what? It's okay if you had come to me, if you had a problem with something I wrote, you could have just, as a friend, wrote me a note or, directly, and then we could have talked about it, my intentions of what I meant, because there was a confusion. And it was just, that was my problem with it. It wasn't that I'm being called out on something. Neither was this. I don't mind that she confronted me about it, but it's a matter of the way you can't just say to somebody that you don't know, kick it down ASAP. It's just not cool. Let's do that.
Well, I mean, that's the nature of social media. Like that's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's strange, like the media and everything. Like during the height of the protests, was it last week and 2 weeks? I don't even know what day it is, to be honest with you. I'm sorry, but the big time of the protests, whatever weekend that was, Saturday or Sunday, my neighbors, my friends, they all went down to the protests, and so they were doing a Facebook live feed, and then I was also tuned into CNN and Wolf Blitzer, and Wolf Blitzer's just like, and they are, crowds are gathering at Hollywood and Vine. We'll keep you more informed about what's going on in Los Angeles and then I look at my friend's phone and she's just like, yeah, everyone's really chill and peaceful and respectful of each other, and they have a microphone and a podium and everyone's listening and everything. So I'm not an anti-media guy, but this shit's fucked up, man. How mixed the messages are. That's not cool. In my opinion, love and understanding is what's going to get us through all this. And those that aren't on board, they're not helping me,
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That includes Wolf Blitzer, I guess, because I know that they got to sell ads and they want people to tune in and they got to make it dramatic.
Yeah, I just
do all that shit. Go into the fucking movie business, man. Don't be a journalist.
They're not. Well, Wolf Blitzer, it's arguable. A lot of these guys they're not.
His name is Wolf Blitzer.
Yeah, right.
What the hell, man?
Yeah.
Zombie Nazi, man. Wolf Blitzer.
Let's look it up. Is that his birth name? But
I don't know. I don't know the guy.
Probably.
Nor do I know his parents.
Probably Jeremy,
Jeremy? No, he's too old for the Jeremy generation, man.
I was gonna say Jeremy Weisberg or something, but
I was gonna say Tom Schmaltz.
I don't know, but I stopped watching those guys. I can't.
Because they're obviously so
for the media
going for your attention.
Right.
They're the most attention greedy people ever.
Right.
You think you got a friend that's attention whore? No, not compared to TV news people.
Yeah.
They are desperate and they're competing with other people, and then they start talking about the other networks, and it just goes on and on. It's crazy.
Yeah.
They're missing the whole point. You're supposed to just inform us. So you can't do it anymore because you're attention hoard out to advertisers and competing against each other. So we rely on our friends who all have cameras and phones and everything in their pockets at all times to tell us.
I noticed what was even more frightening is the network news.
Oh man, I don't have live TV, man.
I don't care. No, but I do have YouTube TV, which gives me a feed to any channel.
But I remember when as a kid, after dinner, we would all go watch it.
But my dad.
And after Tom Brokaw together, we'd all go, whatever.
But my father, I would come visit him, and he would be watching the nightly news, on CBS or whatever.
Right.
Because he still had cable and everything, and I would watch it just. I would watch it because he had it on, and man, do they try to terrify people. You get so used to it, but when I'm watching it through his eyes, and I hadn't seen it in months or years, I'm not watching network news, and I'm watching it, and it's starts off with, there might be a little rain coming, and they'll talk about storm systems. I mean, everything becomes steroidal in size. You know, it's like, so he would, every time there's any bad weather, I mean, you know, he would just, couldn't go outside. I can't go. I got to hurry up and get home before the rain, you know, God forbid. Like, when I was growing up, we never talked about the rain. Who cares if it's raining? You just go out with an umbrella or without one. It was like, when did all of a sudden, but you know, he's also an older guy, which makes him more vulnerable to, the good thing about my dad was he never succumbed to the Fox News, you know, state of mind. He was very, very left-wing in that way. And but he was, he loved his Ari Melber and Rachel Maddow and,
oh yeah, yes.
But I said once they went from Trump bashing, which was like the last bunch of years, right? Then with the new candidates, once they started doing the debates and everything, last fall.
Yeah.
Bernie, all the big.
Yeah, with 32 people up on stage.
Yeah, right. But that's when I realized these motherfuckers are as bad as anybody else.
Well, I knew it. I'm
CNN. The way they're treating some of the candidates.
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been skeptical most of my life. That's my father instilled in me, was to try to be skeptical and always have a bullshit detector. But like, you know, everybody's complaining about Trump now, but I remember, and I was living in Los Angeles at the time when he was running his primary, and I remember everybody just being like, "Oh, we can't get enough of this guy," and they're just putting him on the news every time he has a fucking meeting, and every time he has a. You built him, man. Like, you can't be that upset now. Like, you built him. Mm-hmm. Like, it's crazy. It's the media and everything about it is fascinating. I'm not gonna call it bullshit. I'm not gonna call it whatever, but it is fascinating.
Well, I get most of my opinion news, whatever, through the online shows anyway now. So. And they're far more radical. I don't use that term correctly, though, because I feel like what we're calling radical is actually much more straight thinking, or just sensibilities, you know?
Yeah,
I think what we're going through now is so radical, so that the people that are offering up, that's why I thought Bernie was never a radical. Bernie is offering solutions that make complete sense. You know, was FDR a radical? Because I guess you could argue that the New Deal was a radical idea, but it's just the idea of everybody not starving or going without insurance. This is radical when the rest of the world is doing it already? Why is it radical for such nonsense? So, and that's how it was being framed by MSNBC and CNN. They're very turned off. Very turned off. And I'm actually, like, I've been a Democrat my whole life, but I am, this is my last election. Because as a Democrat, I will be an independent, but I can no longer support a party that puts Biden as their candidate.
It's very disappointing. It is very disappointing. I agree with you.
Nothing will change.
I've just, my point has been like that we just needed somebody to energize people to want to get out.
Right.
And this is just not dude to do it, man. And it's so frustrating. And it's I never had anything against Bernie. I didn't want him to be the president of the United States. Why I didn't want him to be president of the United States is a weird problem of mine, maybe, but it's because when a person becomes president of the United States, they don't really have the power that they promised. And so then they get torn down by the system itself. And I didn't want somebody like Bernie Sanders, who's remarkable, that's to be another blow to people on the left or progressives, is to see him get destroyed. Because I watched it happen to Obama. Like, we believed in Obama so much, but when he got into office, like, he had to do what he had to do. You know?
Yeah, no, it was.
And that was very disappointing to a lot of people, including myself.
A symbolically important president. interpersonally or on a personal level, great guy, but a failed president.
Yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. I think that's the executive office is. That's what being CEO.
Well, I don't know. Maybe, yeah. But
I can't think of another example in my lifetime, certainly, where somebody
Obama didn't have
act outside of it.
Sorry, I was going to say.
No, I'm sorry. I was just saying I can't think of an example. Somebody in my lifetime that's been able to act outside of the parameters of being president.
It's like Obama, while he had, I don't know that he had a coalition or a movement. What he had was optimism and intelligence and fresh, new, young.
An idea.
But Bernie has a movement, and he, by the way, since squandered it because he just turned things over to the Democratic establishment. And
what's it supposed to do, man? I mean,
what you have hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of an army of progressive people with hungering for change. What do? You arm them with military grade right? No, but you I don't know. You have an army of people that could have been, that need a leader, that need a move, that want to change the country. I think.
But my point is, like, he can still be a leader without being number one.
Not as supported Biden. My opinion. It's just my opinion. But it was a miserable failure, and fuck Elizabeth Warren for. It's not.
It's just weird because, like, I think you should be a leader without having to be number one. And, like, I really don't. I don't know how much I heard from Bernie between 2016 and 2020. Like, I don't remember Bernie Sanders being in the leader those 4 years. Like, I just remember hearing about Trump, and I don't remember hearing about anything. But every time that there's election around, like, oh, we got to talk about Bernie. He's going to do. I mean, that's what a politician does, but that's not what a leader does.
Well, I think he was building his following, or his, his supporters during those years. But
where was he between 2016 and 2020? What was he doing?
You mean when Obama was president?
No, 2016 to 2020. The last 4 years of Donald Trump.
Oh, I mean,
where was Bernie Sanders' leadership in the Senate?
Well, I believe I don't know. He's not the most effective senator either. I mean, he's done a lot of good stuff.
Wait, he's the most effective president.
Wait a minute. He has spent his life.
He's the most effective dude.
No, he spent his life fighting for justice and for equality, and
I'm not taking away from that.
Yeah. So I'm saying, as a president, it is a symbolic role to a great degree, and if you can create enough enthusiasm and support symbolically, then you can get things done. But Obama could have done it. I think he could have done it. I wish he had. I think he could. If he had come in after Trump, he might have been able to do it because he would have had so much more of a opportunity.
He came after George W. Bush, which was even at that time the most symbolically racist president ever. That didn't care about black people. That left people stranded in New Orleans. That did at that time in 2008, George W. Bush was a racist nightmare.
Lied about, made up lies in order to begin a war to get revenge for his dad.
Yep. Made a black man do it.
Seems like this country has problems. I know the way you're describing it.
I know, it's weird.
I'm pretty sure we're number one.
It's almost like we got a lot of situations here.
Yeah. They don't seem so arbitrary all of a sudden.
Yeah.
We're number one. We're number one.
It's not just one guy. This is a whole.
We're a beacon
system
to the world.
Hundreds of years in the making.
Yeah. We're number one. We're a beacon of hope and of dreams coming true, and the American dream. I don't know where this bullshit comes from.
Yeah, like everybody's like been posting about like NASCAR banned the Confederate flag. I'm like, yeah, well, I'm not gonna applaud somebody for doing something that should have been done 150 years ago when they lost the damn war. Like, what? Have you ever been to the Deep South?
Yes, many times.
Everything is named fucking Robert E. Lee Highway and Jefferson Davis Avenue and fucking. It's ridiculous. It's crazy.
Yeah, the NASCAR. It's like a mistake branding wise. You got to keep it Confederate. That's just a brand.
I don't really know anything about NASCAR, to be fair, so I'm trying to stay out of the fight.
It's like saying, like Coca-Cola is just gonna not add sugar or any artificial ingredients. Give me a break. It's all about.
Yeah, I don't know what the point is really. I just think Confederate. It was just even in the '90s. Like I think when I was in high school, like they were talking about like controversy of taking down the Confederate flag from the state capitol. I'm like, what? They lost the war like 150 years ago. Why is this still going on? I don't get it.
They were considered traitors.
Yeah, I know.
They're traitors. What is the word for when you try to sabotage your? They're all considered traitors to the country because they were causing insurrection against our government.
I know, and I understand freedom of speech and all that shit, but like after World War II, like Germany was like, yeah, it was fucking crazy. Like we're gonna ban all Nazi propaganda ever. Right. Like that was fucking crazy. That was not a healthy thing that we did. That was terrible.
Yeah.
But in America, it's just like freedom of speech. Yeah, goddamn, I got my rights. Like, it's just like, what? No, you fucking tried.
Yeah.
Secede 150 years ago.
Yeah. Everything. I mean, I don't know.
Fucking crazy. It's still around. Like, the people are still proudly put that fucking on their fucking car, man.
Yeah.
Like, wear shirts about it. Like,
if they wear shirts at all, so you kind of have to be grateful.
Okay. Well, all right.
Oh, wait a minute.
And
I'm not talking about Southerners. I'm talking about, the Confederate fans, the Confederate memorabilia and that type of thing.
I know.
They're more apt not to wear shirts. Come on. But anyway,
there are many Southerners.
I don't know. I think we have to let go of this idea that America is a beacon of whatever they think we're a beacon of, because we're
not a beacon of fucking anything, man. Like we're just like it's a whole thought experiment. We're not a shining city on a hill. We're just like all people that have their own thoughts and ideas and are supposed to be able to share them and exchange them together. Like it doesn't stand for anything. It's not supposed to. Like we won some wars and we weren't part of Europe during World War II, so our country didn't get damaged. So like we came out as economic superpowers because we weren't damaged. But like all in all, America is just kind of like a lucky fucking shot in the dark. And most of what it is just it's the beacon of ideas amongst people that are supposed to be trying to improve them.
Right, exactly.
And trying to make a better civilization.
Yes.
But the idea that we're number one and we're the fucking shining city on the hill and all that is nonsense. Like that is ridiculous. We are trying. That's all we're supposed to be doing, and we're supposed to be getting better at it and improving. That's it.
Well said.
Yeah?
Yeah, I think so.
All right.
Let's leave it on that optimistic note.
Yeah, cool. You give me Seinfeld's number? That's a dumb bit.
So your homework then is to watch Captain Hindsight and Long-Haired Businessman.
Captain Hindsight, Long-Haired Businessman, and catch up on Amos.
Oh, Amos Poe. I don't know if you need to. Well, yeah. Listen to that episode. Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to find his films. It's very hard. I couldn't, in preparation when I had him on, I saw a couple of his films to be like on Fandor and on these obscure places to find films, because his films just, they're hard. Like a couple of his films I wanted to see, I just have not been able to find them anywhere, ever. And, you can't just, we've got lost.
Well, I will look into it.
But look into that episode anyway, where he talks about Jarmusch and John Lurie.
Yeah.
All that.
I must know his work at some point because I'm so fascinated with that late 80s, early 80s, or late 70s, early 80s East Village art scene. So I must have come across it at some point, but I'll still revisit it.
He had one or two attempts at Hollywood, so you can look him up.
Oh,
He's a good guy, though. I'll tell you that much.
Looking forward to it.
I enjoy meeting him when he does. He's come on twice. Yeah, well, it's good to catch up with you.
Oh man, it's always a pleasure chatting with you, man. I'm glad you're doing okay, and I hope things improve.
Thanks. I think they are. I'm gonna just sort of go into hermit mode. Well, we're all hermits, so it's not really that.
Yeah. Wait, just now?
Yeah, right. It's not that big of a shift. I'm gonna be living a little bit out of the. I won't be in the epicenter. Let's put it that way.
Well, man, I wish you luck with the move. I hope it's for the best, and I hope to talk to you very soon.
Yeah.
Before then, even, and it's just.
Thank you.
It's always a pleasure to chat with you, mate.
Same here. Thank you. Yeah, same here. All right.
All right.
Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
You do the same, and have a good weekend.
You too.
All right, buddy.
Take care.
Cheers, mate.
Good talking.